Just because I was drunk at my engagement party, my girlfriend, with whom I had been in a relationship for 12 years, kicked me out of the car after slapping me. After dragging my tired body back to our marriage bedroom, I found my girlfriend there, holding her lost former love tightly. "I regret it. I will cancel the wedding if you come back to me," she was begging. To me, who also regretted my decision to prevent her from calling off the wedding. I ran away on the day of our wedding. No one expected Lisa's frantic search for me. In our marital home, I saw them hugging. I kicked the shoes she gave me as an engagement gift, even though I loved them. They were a smaller size, with my feet bleeding. I called my uncle abroad. "Uncle, I'm not getting married. I want to come to you." My uncle paused and then said, "That's good. The family business would be yours anyway. It's good you come soon and adapt early." I couldn't hold back the tears as he added, "Veden, don't cry. You're young, don't let marriage and children tie you down. You have a future. Think clearly. I'm waiting for you until tonight." I thought Lisa was different. She was a successful and elegant woman, always kind and reserved. No scandal ever stained her reputation. But at our engagement party, when she saw Mefio Cooper for the first time, she lost control. She broke a glass for the first time, vented her anger on me, and abandoned me. If I had seen her with anyone else, I would have assumed it was a misunderstanding. I would have given her another chance and spent another decade devoted to her. But the man in our home was Mefio Cooper, the one who tormented me for 20 years, the one who took everything from me, the one I could never forgive. When Lisa brought Mefio home, I gave up on her, but I activated the surveillance in our house. Mefio was wearing my pajamas in our bed. Lisa, who never did any housework, prepared a revitalizing soup for him. "Are you really going to marry a substitute?" Mefio asked. Lisa remained silent, just massaging his feet. "You did all this to provoke me, didn't you?" Mefio accused. "This room, the ring, the cakes. Everything is my style." He continued, "You love me, don't you?" Lisa remained silent and then kissed him passionately. Tears rolled down my face as I watched. In 12 years, Lisa had never kissed me with passion. I thought she was shy, but she was just saving her love for Mefio. When I left, Lisa appeared calling my name. "Eden." Lisa instinctively let go of Mefio's hand as I turned around. "Mefio is drunk. I brought him here because I was worried about him walking alone," she explained. "Mefio is a decent man," she insisted. "I brought him to avoid misunderstandings." Lisa, usually reserved, spoke enthusiastically about Mefio as she defended him. I felt a strange detachment from the woman before me. I was her childhood love, her business partner. Why had I become just a substitute? I swallowed my pain before speaking. "He's not my brother, he's the son of our family's mistress." Lisa's expression darkened as she shouted angrily, "Veden Cooper, apologize to Mefio for your cruel words. You're despicable. No wonder your parents abandoned you. Your bitterness disgusts me. No wonder no one loves you." Lisa protected Mefio, her face tense under the moonlight. That gesture reminded me of our childhood, when my mother's infidelity destroyed our family. Lisa would run to my side, saying, "Eden, you're the best person. Even if everyone abandons you, I will love you forever." I clung to those words, trying to build a happy family with Lisa, but when I mentioned it, she dismissed it with a grimace. Now, with Lisa here, she didn't even say childish nonsense. Instead, she pierced my heart with words like, "You deserve to be despised." I looked away as tears filled my eyes. Lisa's eyes trembled slightly when she noticed my bleeding feet. "Tonight, I'll consider that you were drunk. There will be no future," I replied coldly. Lisa's confusion was interrupted by Mefio's tearful departure. She ran after him, dropping her raindrop-shaped pendant. I picked it up, remembering the small raindrop tattoo on Lisa's left chest. All the details ignored before now made sense. Our 12-year love was just my one-sided devotion. Now, I shouldn't cling to an undeserving woman. When I returned home, my uncle's message arrived. He had booked my flight abroad on the day of our wedding. The wedding countdown now marked my departure. I smiled bitterly, discarding our wedding decorations and shared belongings. Fate had its own plans. I would spend these last 2 weeks saying goodbye to my past. Lisa's call woke me up at dawn. "Eden, are you awake? I asked for your favorite pastries. I won't be back today. There's an emergency at work. Let's reschedule the wedding photo shoot. Apologize to Mefio for last night, okay?" Lisa seemed surprised by my quick agreement. "Weddings are just for show. We're happy. We don't need to prove anything. Let's keep it simple, all right? Simple, no marriage certificate, no photos, no ceremony, no groom." After hanging up, I crossed off the photo shoot from the calendar. Lisa was always busy. I listed my wishes, hoping to fulfill them during the wedding, but one by one, they were crossed out with a thick marker. There were many unspoken regrets, but now I focused on myself, not Lisa. After resigning, I said goodbye to colleagues and friends. In fact, we all suspected, admitted a friend. Lisa was with Mefio the whole time. Everyone thought the guy in her photos was you, but we recognized Mefio immediately. Lisa, who never posted my photos, now filled her feed with photos of Mefio. They went to amusement parks, tried on wedding dresses, and watched the sunrise together. Her love for Mefio was obvious. But she blocked me. Friends were worried about me, saying, "Eden, don't be too shaken. Mefio isn't for you." If Lisa knew his true nature, she would regret it. "I've moved on," I replied, indifferent. I looked at the busy streets. In a few days, I'd be gone for good. There was no time or energy to mourn Lisa. When Lisa came back, I remained unmoved. "Why is the house empty? You didn't decorate?" she asked. "As you said, simple," I replied coldly. Lisa fell silent, noticing the countdown. "Time flies. Our wedding is in 10 days, she said. I tore off 2 pages that said ours in 8 days. These pages contained wishes like riding the Ferris wheel and watching the sunrise and sunset. Lisa never noticed anything about me. Suddenly, my uncle called, and I went out to answer. When I returned, Lisa said, "Don't plan the honeymoon, I'm very busy." "I know," I replied. Since Mefio's return, Lisa had clung to him. I handed her the raindrop pendant. Her eyes brightened. "I was looking for it everywhere. I saw your online post offering a high reward," she said. $1 million for an antique pendant. Our wedding budget was only $200,000. "Lisa, where is your engagement ring?" She hesitated while packing my bags. The realization finally hit. 12 years of my life wasted. Every memory I thought was precious, every effort, every night awake planning a future beside Lisa. All of it now felt like a bitter joke. The pain in my chest was unbearable, but for the first time, I decided not to give in. I was leaving, but not as a defeated man. If she thought she could use me as a plan B, she was very wrong. As soon as I hung up with my uncle and finished the last details of the flight, the doorbell rang. I knew it was Lisa. I opened the door and stared at her without saying a word. She looked exhausted, as if her frantic search for me had finally drained her energy. She entered uninvited and began speaking as if nothing had happened. "Eden, we need to talk. Let's not let something like this destroy everything, okay? We can fix this." I crossed my arms and stayed silent, watching her move nervously around the room. She was trying to act like she still had some control over me, as if I were at her disposal. Her voice sounded different, more insecure than usual, and I knew why. Mefio was untrustworthy, he always would be. Lisa was afraid of losing both me and him, but this time, I wasn't going to give in. "Eden, please stop being childish. We love each other, and a long relationship like ours can't end like this." I laughed, a bitter laugh, filled with everything I had kept inside for years. She looked at me surprised, not used to seeing me like this. "You want to talk about love now?" I said, my voice coming out firmer than I expected. "Where was this love when you brought Mefio into our bedroom? When you dressed him in my clothes and served food in my house? Or when you posted pictures with him while deleting all our memories?" She turned pale. "Eden, it wasn't like that. It was exactly like that." I cut her off. You think I didn't see? You think I'm an idiot? She started crying, but this time, I didn't care. For years, all her tears felt like a knife in my chest. I did everything to make her happy again, but now Lisa's tears had no effect on me. I was wrong, okay? Mefio. He was a mess in my head. But who I love is you. It's always been you. I shook my head, disgusted. No, Lisa, it wasn't love. You used me as a backup because you knew I was always there. But not anymore. She tried to approach, but I stepped back. Enough. I'm tired of being the idiot you manipulate. I'm not going to be part of this theater anymore. If you want Mefio so badly, go after him. She stayed silent for a moment, absorbing my words. Her eyes were swollen, and her expression shifted from regret to desperation. Then, in the last pathetic act, she fell to her knees. Eden, please, don't do this to me. I need you. I can't imagine my life without you. I took a deep breath, feeling a strange calm. For the first time, I was in control of the situation. Lisa, so used to seeing me chase after her, was now desperate. But I wasn't going to give in. No. This time, you've made your choice, I said, my voice firm. And I've made mine. She sobbed, but I remained relentless. Tomorrow, I'll be on a plane, leaving. And you, stay with Mefio. I hope he makes you happy, because I'm going to find my happiness far from here. She slowly stood up, her eyes red and expression defeated. She didn't say anything else, just left, leaving behind the pendant I had returned. As soon as the door closed, the sense of relief was immediate. I grabbed my phone and sent a message to my uncle. I'll be there tomorrow. I can't wait to start over. That night, I slept for the first time in peace, without Lisa's games hanging over me, without the weight of a love that was never reciprocated. The next morning, before I caught my flight, a friend sent me one last message. Lisa is desperate. She canceled the wedding and said you're the love of her life. I chuckled quietly. For the first time, I felt nothing but indifference. I left that life behind, along with all the broken promises and regrets. My future started now, and I wouldn't look back. When the plane took off, I looked out the window and saw the city getting smaller. I smiled for the first time in years. I was free. The moment I stepped out of my old life, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Control. I was no longer Lisa's puppet. With every mile I put between us, a cold clarity filled me. But leaving without getting revenge? That wouldn't be enough. She and Mefio couldn't get away with it. The truth was, I didn't just want to leave. I wanted them to taste the bitterness of what they did. I wanted them to beg for something they would never get back. My patience, my love, and my trust. Once I settled into the new apartment my uncle arranged for me abroad, I began preparing my revenge. It needed to be careful, not impulsive or obvious. They would pay, slowly, savoring every drop of poison I would pour into their lives. First, I cut ties with everyone in common. I let silence be my first move. I disappeared from social media, deleted any trace that could indicate where I had gone. I left Lisa and Mefio wondering if I was still suffering for them, if I had simply vanished, or worse, if I was planning something they couldn't foresee. I wanted doubt to eat away at their nights like an invisible plague. I spent weeks monitoring from a distance what they were doing. My friends still shared information, thinking they were just keeping me updated. I knew that Mefio and Lisa were now living together, occupying the house that was once mine. They seemed happy, or at least, on the surface. But forced happiness is fragile, and I intended to be the hand that would break that mask. After gathering the necessary information, I contacted someone who knew where to strike. Camila, Mefio's ex-girlfriend. I knew he had abandoned her in the past, just like he had wronged me. Now, as soon as she knew I wanted to bring him down, she was more than willing to help. Together, we devised a plan. Camila sent me screenshots of intimate messages Mefio had exchanged with other women while he was with Lisa. I knew he couldn't be trusted. I just needed the proof to destroy the trust between him and Lisa. I took those messages and created a fake profile of a woman he had been involved with. It was the perfect bait. On any given day, I made the first move. We sent all the intimate conversations directly to Lisa. Along with them, we included photos and fabricated audio recordings in which Mefio confessed to being with her just for the money and wanting to destroy what was left of my life. It took less than an hour for everything to start crumbling. I received furious messages from Lisa, all ignored. She was desperate, asking if I knew anything and demanding explanations, but I left each message unanswered. I wanted her to feel the emptiness I felt when I needed some truth and only found lies. It didn't take long for their relationship to fall apart. Lisa, paranoid, began watching every move Mefio made. He, in turn, showed his true face and wasn't interested in fighting for a relationship that had never meant anything to him. When Lisa confronted him, he exploded. They shouted at each other, and it was at that moment I knew my revenge was completing itself. I had planted the seed of doubt, and they had backed away until it grew and suffocated what was left of what they called love. While all of this was happening, I returned to Brazil for one last move. I discreetly visited the house that once was mine and watched from a distance as Lisa left, devastated, with her bags in hand. Mefio had kicked her out like the parasite he always was. She was alone now. The man she had thrown away 12 years of relationship for treated her like nothing. It was poetic. I entered the house at the right moment, right after Lisa had left. And, when Mefio got drunk, he didn't expect to see me. I stood in the living room, watching him stagger until he realized my presence. "Eden, what the hell are you doing here?" He tried to sound threatening, but the alcohol made him pathetic. "I came to get what's mine," I replied coldly, looking around the house that I once shared with Lisa. Mefio, stumbling, laughed. "This house isn't yours anymore, idiot." With a smile, I took out the sale contract I had prepared months earlier. In fact, it was the deed, still in my name. "I sold the house yesterday." His smile vanished instantly. Without realizing it, he had been kicked out of the only place he thought was his. "Now, Mefio, you can pack your things and leave, or I can call the police." He screamed, cursed, but had nowhere to go. Watching him gather his belongings into plastic bags and leave through the door, like the failure he always was, gave me a sense of triumph. I closed the door behind him, hearing the key turn for the last time. The revenge was sweet, but the closure was even better. I left behind not only the house but all the pain and expectations that once kept me tied to Lisa. When I returned abroad, with the house sale and family business in hand, I started over, free from any weight of the past. Lisa tried to contact me a few times, sending empty messages saying she missed everything and that now she realized I was the right man for her. But each of her messages was ignored. She had the chance to be by my side, but she chose to destroy everything. Today, I live in peace, knowing they will never forget what they lost. Mefio lost the comfort and security he never deserved. Lisa, in turn, will always live with the regret of throwing away the only man who truly cared for her. And me. I move on, knowing there's no greater revenge than peace of mind. Today, my life is peaceful, as if a huge weight has finally been lifted from my shoulders. I wake up every morning without the shadow of Lisa or Mefio hanging over me. At first, I thought the emptiness would be unbearable, that their absence would leave a scar, but what I feel is liberation. The sale of the house and the start of the family business were just the first step. Now, the company is growing faster than I could have imagined. I work alongside my uncle, learning every detail, and recently we've entered new international markets. The feeling of building something of my own, free from any interference, is priceless. With the money from the sale and the profits from the company, I bought my own apartment. Not a mansion full of bitter memories, but a simple, modern place, just the way I've always wanted. I wake up to the sound of the sea, have my coffee on the balcony, and for the first time, I'm planning my future with no one else in mind but myself. I've traveled to places I've always dreamed of visiting but never had the chance. I rediscovered myself on these journeys, reconnecting with forgotten hobbies and allowing myself to find joy in the little things. I've met new people too, people who see me for who I am, without expectations or emotional games. I'm not ready for a serious relationship right now, and honestly, I'm in no rush. For the first time, I'm comfortable being alone. I've learned that my happiness doesn't depend on anyone else but me. As for Lisa and Mefio, News eventually reached me. I didn't seek it out, but it's impossible to avoid when mutual friends insist on sharing what they've heard. Lisa tried to rebuild her life, but it hasn't been easy. After Mefio left her, she tried to find stability, but her pride was hurt in a way she would never recover from. She lost her job because the company she worked for found out about her involvement with him. Apparently, Mefio also had no limits in the workplace. Without a job and without Mefio's support, she ended up moving back in with her parents, something she swore she would never do. Mefio, on the other hand, hasn't changed. He continued hopping from one woman to another, draining whatever he could from each relationship until there was nothing left. I heard that he's involved in debts and constant fights. Someone I knew on a trip mentioned that he was seen begging favors from old acquaintances, trying to survive however he could. I wasn't surprised. People like him don't change. They live in a cycle of destruction and survival, dragging everyone around them into the same abyss. Lisa tried to contact me a few more times, sending long messages, as if she wanted to justify everything that happened. The last message I received from her was an apology mixed with regret. She said she now understood how much I loved her and that she regretted not seeing that sooner. She talked about the nights she couldn't sleep, thinking about what could have been. But I didn't respond. Some doors, once closed, should never be opened again. My peace is worth more than any conversation we could have. I chose to move forward without bitterness, but also without space for her in my life. Every choice has its consequences, and both Lisa and Mefio are reaping theirs. Meanwhile, I enjoy my present and build my future, free of regrets. Revenge was never the true goal. It was just the catalyst to set me free. What matters now is that I am at peace, and the freedom to be who I am, without fear or restraints, is the greatest victory I could achieve.